Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. Today we'll be talking about a comet spotted on the LASCO C3, coronal holes, the solar wind, cosmology, and a little bit of LOLology. First we're going to look at the sun. And we see a bunch of coronal holes here shown in the 193 angstroms wavelength. Coronal holes associated with the equator, rotating just into the western zone. Coronal holes associated with the North Pole, and leading some activity here in the northeast. Sunspot 2772 has decayed to plage, and we're back to 0 sunspots, folks. We've got some custom videos for you too. First, here's the LASCO C2, and we did see some ejecta come out of the southeast. There was some limb darkening as reported by NASA and NOAA. And next we'll look at the C3. First, let me take a look at the stream and make sure that it's as healthy as our viewers. Thanks for being healthy, viewers. And here's the C3. You can see Mercury in the background there. And if you look right in this area, you'll see a comet looking like it's diving into the sun there. Great view of that. Let me zoom in on it for you. And there's a great view of that comet. And it looks like it must have broken up as it stops emitting light there. Next, taking a look at the fields here on HelioViewer to see not a lot of organization happening, no real surprises there. Here's the fade to 304 angstroms. Not a lot of filaments right now in the limbs either. There's the fade. And here's the first custom view we made for you today from helioviewer.org, showing you the LASCO C2 as well as the 171 angstroms. Next, some close-ups. First, former sunspot 2772. Now decayed to plage, which by the way also means a sandy beach, because that's what it sort of looks like on the surface of the sun. Next, looking at this active region that produced that coronal mass ejection and some flaring. It was a sunspot briefly, but not long enough to be named. We are, again, back to 0 sunspots. And there's the most likely region to be doing much, although again, not a sunspot. I wanted to just take a quick note here of the thermosphere index. You can link to this. This is actually from spaceweather.com. To note one very important factor about the most recent solar minimum, which ended in November. Or that was the minimum. We're still in a minimal condition, but the official minimum was just before this line right here. And I would note that the thermosphere was considerably colder and consistently colder at the last solar minimum, colder than at this solar minimum. It's super obvious from the graph. Again, you can look at the thermosphere climate index at spaceweather.com. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux is still at 71, having coming off its lows of 70. And there are the graphs for the most recent sunspot number and radial flux. For your new viewers, a 10.7 centimeter radial flux is a measure of coronal radial flux, and it's very consistently proportional to sunspot number, as you can see from the two graphs. Next, looking at the KP index, which is currently at 2. And there's that graph for you. We didn't see any significant flaring here, nothing even into a B-class range X-ray flare. Again, don't get coronal mass ejections and solar flares confused. Solar flares are photons. Coronal mass ejections are protons primarily. Proton flux remains flatlined. Next, looking at the real-time solar wind. To see what looks like a weak coronal hole wind stream as we see the solar wind density having ramped up here weekly. And then as it comes down, we see the speed come up. Looks just like a coronal hole wind stream, but a weak one, and it may be some sort of a double pulse. We do see the BT-BZ shifting, as I did show prep, as well as the phi angle shifting quite a bit over the past couple of days, over the past day, rather. And you can see some apparent coronal hole magnetic connections here, and there are quite a few coronal holes, especially the one associated with the North Pole. And again, some rising in the northeast as well. Current solar wind density a little bit elevated here at about 23 protons per cubic centimeter. This could be a second pulse of a coronal hole wind stream, and the current solar wind speed 349. If you see the solar wind density drop down again as the velocity goes up, it's probably a double pulse coronal hole wind stream. It can happen. Next, looking at magnetosphere movies, and you can see the density get pinned back here at the end. Right here, you can see that increase in solar wind density. Keep in mind, folks, high density shown in this graphic as dark blue, low density shown in white, as we look at a zoomed out view of the magnetosphere. And for you new viewers out there, the sun would be to the left of the screen. Next, looking at pressure, and we see significant pressure here, and that is associated with that solar wind density. So that is a bit of an increase, folks. 20 plus protons per cubic centimeter is significant, and we wouldn't be surprised to see that come down as the velocity goes up. Let's play the rest of this video here as it refreshed, and we don't want the daily space weather video to be too long. And we've taken measures to shorten it. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data. Plasma spheres are looking small, and the electron flux is low. Next, looking at ground magnetic perturbations, and we see a bit here during this polar excursion. Here's 4 hours of data. We see significant perturbations over the Canadian North Pole, less so over the Siberian North Pole, and quite a lot in the south as well. And the South Geomagnetic Pole has moved into the Indian Ocean, if you weren't aware. GOES magnetometer is doing exactly what I forecasted it to do, showing low readings and spiky, not smooth. Now, normally this will be a smooth graph. You'll see midnight, noon, midnight, noon. But when we get current sheet polarity crossings, the magnetometer gets messed with. And here's what we're talking about. It's the data from the Gong 2. This is one of the most important pieces of solar data you could possibly look at, the top view ecliptic plane field plot. I think we have a sunspot on the opposite side of the sun, somewhere north of the equator over in this area. Quite on the opposite side of Earth right now. And we see the Earth snapping back and forth between two different polarity current sheets. Here's the latest image. And we are now back in the North Pole current sheet, having switched back and forth probably several times over the past couple of days. Keep in mind the data is 2 hours and 19 minutes old, and the magnetic environment can suddenly change. Now you can see this bump in the B field shown here in blue on the opposite side of the sun, an indication that there's probably some activity somewhere north of the solar equator. Otherwise, in the Earth-facing portion, not a lot of changes happening in the B field. And let's talk cosmology. Now, we've got a whole section on cosmology segments. Cosmology segments are one of the playlists. There are about 60 videos in there right now. youtube.com/smashomash/playlists will get you there. Let's talk about an optically violent variable quasar. Yes, specifically 3C279. So there's an article here in 3C279. Spinning black hole powers jet by magnetic flux. Now, some of us could have guessed, as these jets emanate from the poloidal fields of these massive radio sources. And we talk about poloidal fields regularly on the channel, as it's one of the most important aspects of stellar cosmology. So here's the artist's rendition of that conically shaped field. And what's happening here is multiple different similar poloidal fields are coming out in the same region. Could be similar to what's going on in the core of the Milky Way galaxy, although we get a completely different view of it from galaxy 3C279. If you want to read about it, there's an article on phys.org, and as well as on other places. Apparently, it's being attributed to magnetic reconnection, something that's actually believable. Is it progress in cosmology? It certainly looks like it. The special pattern of magnetic reconnection in the light curve. So what's happening here is we're seeing all kinds of different radiation coming out of it, gamma rays, X-rays, visible light, radio frequency, etc. perhaps progress in cosmology. And for that, we thank you. If you want to watch the transients for 3C279, head to the Neil Gorell Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory. They monitor transients. Type in Control F and type in 3C space 279, and there you go. 3C279's transients. And by the way, this is actually a gamma ray calibration transient, as this consistently behaves inconsistently. An optically violent variable quasar. There's also a Wikipedia article about 3C279 if you want to read about that. Gamma ray observatories are super interested in it, and this thing has been studied since 1973. And the reason it looks oblong here is, again, because of that jet. There's one pointed at us and one pointed away from us. That's what makes it a blazar in the first place. Blazar, quasar, whatever you want to call it. It's an optically violent variable quasar. Again, check out our playlist, youtube.com/smAsho/playlists. If you want to learn more about cosmology, check out the cosmology segments. There are 66 videos in there, as well as other playlists featuring the Beastronic Beastrons, Jaws, Phelps, and Jim, Smash Lights. And by the way, there's one premiering at 6 today. If you don't follow us on Instagram, check us out there. As the sun's solar spectra are some of the keys to cosmology, let's talk about some of the lols to cosmology.
I think there's enough evidence to show that there is because it's struck very quick. From those tubes going in.
Look at Strawberry Quick.
Oh my gosh.
Subsurface plasma stream, folks. It's a subsurface plasma stream. And I've been lolling that for a long, long time, as one of our missions is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics. Part of the reason why we study cosmology. And the sun, since the sun is the Rosetta Stone of cosmology, and our patrons are the Rosetta Stone of funding, as we get practically zero. We make about 2 cents an hour from making YouTube videos. So we are on Patreon. Please consider becoming a patron if you haven't. We put out a bunch of ringtones, and there's more to come, folks, so stay tuned for that. And we've got 9 tiers now, just to make it convenient for you to open your cobweb-encrusted dusty wallets and send us a couple bucks per month. We're also on Subscribestar. Check us out there as well. Subscribestar.com/smashamash, patreon.com/smashamash. We are streaming live to Twitch as we enjoy the platform. It is a fantastic platform for live streaming, and that's why we're there daily. So subscribe over there if you haven't, if you want to see the content immediately. We've moved the Smash Lights section into another video. Today's premiere will happen at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Smash Lights, it's also a playlist at youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. Please take a moment to press Loken Sigskrobe over at YouTube. Press Loken Sigskrobe over at YouTube, and perhaps you can put together a sentence and sound like Joe Biden. We'll take a moment for you to do that. And please hurry up. We don't have all day. We don't want the video to be too long. So I'll just wait, and I'll just wand myself here. Remember to keep your eyes closed if you're UV wanding yourself. There we go. Now I'm cured. Just in case I had the COVID, now I'm cured because I've flooded myself with UV. Have you pressed like and subscribe yet? We're waiting. We're also on BitChute. Thanks to our new subs over there. Thanks for leaving comments. We greatly appreciate it. Let us know what the Jupiter 2 is. I'm not exactly familiar. If you've got a breaking news story or something about cosmology or whatever, you can always post at smashamash.com/forum. You can even now send me a text at the SmAsho VoIP line, or you could call, I guess. Chances are I won't answer, but you could send a text or an image. It's country code +1, area code 610-936-9799. That's country code +1, area code 610-936-9799. If you haven't checked out smashamash.org, check it out. We got our social media links posted there. It's a good time. And I won't start the place on fire or anything like that. We've also got links to the SmAsho forum, the SmAsho store, the Smash store, and to our affiliate. If you're wondering what that is, this is the Smash store. Oh wait, that's the SmAsho store, which features shirts such as the 3C405 shirt. If you'd like to pick up one of those, please do. It's $24.99 plus shipping, and if you buy more than one unit, you'll get a small break on your shipping and handling. Also, check out our affiliate links, smashamash.com/affiliate. We've put up new links there to vitamin D supplements, some bike lights, some cheap ones that require no tools to switch bikes, calcium plus vitamin D3. We've got some shark socks and all kinds of other stuff, including a pulse oximeter. It's all easily linkable for you there at smashamash.com/affiliate. Again, please check out the links if you're in the market for any of these things. And check it out, the Zacurate Pro 500DL, which is an oximeter, a pulse oximeter, not made in China, it's made in Texas, has come down about $3.15 in price, now down to $26.85. So pick one of those up for you and know your blood alcohol content. Not your blood alcohol content, it's not a breathalyzer. Know your blood oxygen content and your pulse rate. Two of the most important measures. Here's the other store, by the way. If you're located someplace besides the U.S., perhaps you'd like a Mensa shirt. Make Earth not suck again, since it's up to you. Or perhaps you'd like a set of leggings. I'm considering picking up a purple set for myself. Or maybe black. And today I'm not wearing the Smasher Price My First Scamdemic shirt, but there it is. This one only comes in black and white, but we also do have it in color if you want pink or purple or orange or gold or red or lime green. It's a great disease color, folks, lime green. Anyway, congrats on surviving your first pandemic. Unless you're over 102 years old, you've probably only been through one, and it's statistically irrelevant now. Let's talk about stuff that is statistically relevant, relativistic electrons, which are back at low levels here. And we see they've been cratered for the past 3 days. We're not expecting an increase. In fact, I guarantee these will remain cratered throughout the day today. And this forecast model is going to be incorrect because we're not going to see an uptick. We're going to see this flat over the next 24. Here's the total air column, total electron content forecast. And I'm expecting these levels to be a little bit lower than they're forecasting here, but if you want a visualization of the whole air column all the way from the thermosphere down, check out the total electron content forecast. No big anomalies going on there right now. Next, looking at the ionosphere, just one layer of the atmosphere. Here's 6 hours of that. It's looking pretty normal, nothing to write home about. Here's the latest image, I think. You can do it. That one's at 8:45 UT, looking quite normal there. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. Now, I've left the solar system. I'm now streaming from a separate plane of existence. I apologize if there's any interference. There's where things will be in 1 week, God willing. Now, I like to use in-the-sky.org to make star charts. I always face mine to the south. You can face yours whatever way you want, but I like to face mine to the south because I'm currently facing the south, and so is my couch. If you're up before dawn, you may see the third brightest object in the sky, my favorite planet, Venus. Now, I am in Aries, and Mars is also up there right near the apex of the ecliptic. By the way, in-the-sky.org will also show you the ecliptic if you like. There it is. Next, looking at earthquakes, and we see an odd one near Lake Michigan. We'll get to it in a minute. First, we see a deep quake at Fiji. That one coming in at 17:54 yesterday. That's 5:54 p.m. yesterday. Universal time, excuse me. It's a 4.2 magnitude at 542.7 kilometers depth. Some small quakes at Hawaii. And here's one of the weirder ones we've seen. It's a 3.2 at very shallow depth, 2 kilometers, right on the edge of Lake Michigan near Monroe. So please leave a comment if you felt that quake. Let's get back to the list. So no major quakes. I think this might be the largest one of the past 24. It's a 5.5 at Indonesia. And this one coming in about an hour and a half ago. It's a 4.3 at south of Kamchatka. Looks like it's in Russian international waters. It's a 4.3 magnitude quake at 139.3 kilometers depth. And I guess I'll reappear. All right, I'm back. I decided to come back to the prime material plane of existence to talk about volcanoes. So here's Etna is now back to erupting. Etna exploding. Not sure the ash plume height there. Please don't pole vault the caldera if you're in Italy right now. Suanusejima, volcanic ash not identifiable in satellite imagery. Lungila, which I've never heard of, is exploding. It's producing a 6,000-foot plume of ash, new to the list. I've never heard of it. Lungila in Papua New Guinea. Semaru also exploding, flight level 130 there. Dacono also exploding, flight level 070 there. Revenador exploding, flight level 150 there. Sabancaya exploding, flight level 220 there. That's a 22,000-foot plume of ash, and you should not try to do the Fosbury flop over that plume of ash. Please leave a comment if you know what the Fosbury flop is. Here's the current power outage situation. We see outages both in California and Texas. We really hope California gets its economic act together. 21,000 power outages in both states. And here's the weather.gov map. We're showing some tropical storm warnings in the Gulf and the Floridian Atlantic region. Let's talk about cherry picking. Cherry pick. Have you noticed that the media has a tendency to
cherry pick
and try to fill your brain with a bunch of nonsense and scare the crap out of you about stuff that totally isn't scary? Well, they're checking and selecting the best or most desirable pieces of data, and they're committing an act of
fraud.
Because if they don't quantify what they're saying, if you ask me how far it is from here to Texas, and I tell you 1,000, that's not anything. You got to have units, folks, units. Maybe it's 1,000 miles, I don't know, but it's certainly not 1,000. So try to avoid the
fraud
by having a discerning eye when you read news articles, as I do. It's part of the reason why I cover news articles on the regs, because there's so much fraud and misrepresentation in the media nowadays that it's just required. As the media is an imposter, pretending to be something that it really isn't. If you think they're giving you real data, well, they're committing
fraud
and destroying their own credibility. Global warming milestone, record loss of Greenland ice in 2019. It'll probably be another record this year. Why? Because it was a record year of snow in the Northern Hemisphere for the last 3 winters. So 2017 to 2018, 2018 to 2019, and 2019 to 2020 all had record Northern Hemisphere snow. That's how glaciation happens, folks. Snow is a positive feedback mechanism increasing the Earth's albedo, which decreases the Earth's temperature by reflecting a bunch of light back into space. So here's the current state of affairs. This is the 2019 to 2020 winter, and if you notice, we went 2 standard deviations above normal. See that? See where my pointer is? There's 1 standard deviation above normal. There's 2. And by the way, the graph looked similar for 2017 to 2018 and 2018 to 2019. That is fraud, because while there was a record loss of ice, guess what? Greenland is still covered with snow. So if you're worried about it, well, here we've brought it up on windy.com. It is a real-time snow map, and we covered this regularly last summer. There you go. There's Greenland. Oh my God, it's melting. Wow, look at how melted Greenland is. There's only windy.com not functioning. All right, screw it. Greenland is not melting. There are 5 meters of snow from coast to coast all summer, and by the way, parts of it are now gaining snow and ice again. Here are the jet streams of the Western world. Here are the jet streams of the Eastern world, and if you're wondering what we're looking at, this is the wind speed for flight level 250, 25,000 feet of altitude. And let's move on to look at some more weather stuff. Lightningmaps.org will tell you what's going on. I like to use it when I hear thunder. And hey, people in northern Iowa, Mason City, Charles City, Belmont, Emmetsburg, Parkersburg, hey, Waterloo, go outside and look to your northwest. You could see a light show of epic proportions. You may see sprites up there above that thundercloud. It's serious. Let's look at water vapor maps real quick. Here's Africa and Europe. Here is the Far East and Oceania. Please let me scroll. No, that's okay. I'll wait. Wow. I want to smack this web page right off my screen. Smack it right off my screen. Punch it in the face. Perhaps kick it. There are the water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. Please don't kick your computer. It could lead to unfortunate outcomes. Water vapor maps for the Americas. Let me shrink it down so we can see the whole thing. There you go. It's part of the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. That's the water vapor map on there, and it's fantastic. By the way, the Brian Stelter anticyclone is weakening still. And the Don Lemon anticyclone, named for wannabe journalist Don Lemon, remains over northeastern South America. Here's the U.S. U.S. Doppler radar map. And we've got some scattered thunderstorms over the south and the southeast, as well as that heavy system, which has taken its good old time there over northern Iowa, the western Great Lakes region. Here's what's going on in the cloud layer. We are going to zoom in on that strong storm there over northern Iowa. And there's what's going on with that. We use the NASA GOES shortwave satellite for this, as it is dark in that area right now, as well as where I'm located here in eastern Pennsylvania. If you're wondering where, it's right about here, practically in smelling distance of New Jersey. And we're going to zoom in on two areas here for water vapor, both the Iowa-Minnesota border. Great view of that system there. And for you folks in that area, it should give you a good idea of how it's going to move, and it's going to stagnate. It's going to stagnate. It's not really rotating. It's surrounded by a bunch of dry, massive air. And we're also going to look at this area here over West Texas. As we see a massive compression zone there, you can see dry, massive air right next to very moist air, which would create massive air turbulence. For instance, if you flew across these areas, you would be in for a bumpy ride, to say the least. Don't believe me? Check it out yourself at the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. And hey, SMASH team, thanks for tuning in. Whether you viewed live or you viewed Memorex, we greatly appreciate your viewership. Please consider becoming a patron. Don't forget to visit smashomash.org and visit the links in the other social media sites. Get us involved with your favorite one. Share with your friends. Share with your foes. Share with your science noobs. Share with your science pros. By the way, thanks also for flying American Smashways. It became time for me to vanish. But before I do so, we've got bonus features. We're going to show you the 304 angstroms view. We're going to show you the intensitygram to show you no sunspots, most likely, and the colorized magnetogram. So here's the colorized magnetogram. Again, sunspot 2772, which is here underneath my pointer, has decayed to plage. I don't think this area has produced any sunspots. Those do not look like sunspots on the magnetogram. Here's the intensitygram. And we might see a little bit of lightning there. No umbre apparent in that image. I'm going to say we're back to 0 sunspots. Here's 304 angstroms. It's a 48-hour SDO video. Keep an eye on the southeast portion. There should be a filament eruption there, kind of in the middle of the video. Again, thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun. Attempt to understand the physics, since the sun is the Rosetta Stone of all cosmology. Don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. Seriously, don't drive. I might be on the road, and I don't want to see you out there, no matter how much I like you. And I like you a lot. Now, don't take that too seriously. Anyway, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, and since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back, and that covidiously absent from your multiverse. And don't forget to leave us a comment if you're viewing from another multiverse, universe, solar system, spaceship, orbit, planet, galaxy, etc.